Hello and welcome to the No Huddle Football Podcast. I am your host Chris. With me as always, Ryan. How you doing, man?
Not too bad. Ready for these holidays, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you and me both. Got a lot of stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks here, so it should be good. We're gonna open up today talking about them boys, Cowboys. Looking in, I originally put the topic as mid-season form, but that's when they're actually good. They look like they are in
Oh
postseason
yeah,
form
full stride.
this past week. Going up against the Bills. So they had to play a real team this week with a
Mm.
winning record. And they got blown out of the water. Even a little worse than the final score looks. 31-10 was the final score, but there was a basically a garbage time
Hmm.
touchdown right at the end. It was 31-3 when I had turned it off late in the game. I think this begs the question again. Are the Cowboys are they going to do anything this year in the playoffs, or is it just going to be same old Cowboys? I feel like we go through this cycle every year. We've just hit that point, like last week. They had the big win against the Eagles, but it was their first quality win. They're all, oh, Dak front runner MVP. They're going to win the Super Bowl, blah blah, and it's like they come crashing back down.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know if they realize they have to beat multiple winning teams in a row to win the Super Bowl.
yeah, I think they're short sighted with that, but uh, yeah, it's just like it seems like it's inevitable every year. It's like yes, they're a good team. Like on paper, we say this every year. Like on paper, yeah, they're great. And they have a winning season generally, like a pretty decent like record at least, and they have great players that put up phenomenal stats, and then they shit the bed immediately come the playoffs. It's like every year you set your watch to it, dude. Like it's never our year for them boys. Like if it is, color me fucking shocked. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
I don't I don't know if it is a overconfidence issue, like they think, "Oh, we've already got this on lock," or is it more an issue of they're putting so much pressure on themselves by keep saying every year is their year, and it kind of feels like Super Bowl championship or absolute bust every year. Like you said, they've always got it feels like enough good players to win. I don't know. I think their coach is decent. I don't think he
Yeah.
does a horrible job or anything. So I don't know. Which do you think of those factors do you think contributes the most to them just having these epic collapses every year?
I think a lot of it is probably pressure coming from the owner of the team. He's probably like walking through training camp with these expectations. Like, I got some studs out here. This is a Super Bowl year. And they're like, fuck, dude. Like, we're like, haven't even started. This is like mini camp, dude. Like, what's happening.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
and like a lot of people want to, they want to play for Dallas. They want to put the fucking star in their helmet and shit. Like, I get it. I get it. We grew up in the 90s. We get it. But it doesn't like, this
Yep.
is 20 years later. Like, who cares? Like, it's just too much. I think the pressure comes from the owner and then the fans. It's forever their year. So it's like, we put the star on, bro. We got to win. But you're not. You're not going to win.
Yeah. Yeah, this is why though I had a little bit of trouble. I know we were like doing our top 4 power rankings last week. This is why I had trouble putting them ahead of Philly. Now granted Philly also lost, but they did not get completely blown out of the water. But then you can also make the argument they lost to Drew Lock,
Yeah.
whereas the Cowboys lost to Josh Allen.
Kind of.
Although Josh Allen doesn't play defense, and
Yeah.
they only put up 3 points for
Yeah.
the majority of the game.
Yeah.
So Dak, who's supposed to be a front runner MVP, led them to 3 points for almost 4 entire quarters, barely,
With
just over
134
4 quarters.
yards passing and one interception.
Yeah, like that's not an MVP stat line there. The rushing game only 89 yards, so that really nothing was going for him
No.
that game. So I think they might, depending on where they end up, if they end up being the 5 seed like they were last year, I can see them knocking out the winner of the NFC South again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't know that I have a ton of confidence in them. Because I mean, who else would they have to go up against right now?
I don't know, man. The flex of the Cowboys last year, like we retired Tom Brady. Someone had to, it was last year.
Yeah.
Like you got the luck
Yeah,
of the
you knew
draw
that
because you're
team wasn't.
terrible. Like
Exactly. So, I mean, because they would face probably what a higher seed. So they would, let's say they end up with the 5 seed, then you move on to the next round. And what are you going to face? A Detroit, eventually a Philly, or like I don't know that I see them taking out those teams.
at least consecutively
I don't
either.
see it
Yeah.
happening. Yeah, exactly. To do this, see, look, they had 2 consecutive games to try and win, and they looked awesome in the first one and looked completely awful in the second one.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe next year will be the year. I'm sure come March we'll be hearing this is their year.
For sure, 100%.
I'm sure you saw in the news the Chargers finally fired their coach
Yeah.
in a move that we all thought was coming about 2 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you had the final regular season game from a couple years ago. I mean, there was some things sprinkled in before then that were pretty bad, very bad clock management.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I think it became very apparent. It was undeniable after that Raiders Chargers game, where if you let the clock run out,
Oh yeah.
they would have tied with the Raiders, and they would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, he felt the need to call the timeout. Usually a guy that's very hesitant to call timeouts and lets a lot of time waste off the clock finally calls a timeout when he shouldn't. Raiders kick the field goal. They win. Chargers lose. They're out. It was painfully obvious then that he needed to go. And yet they kept him around.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a contract thing. Maybe like the front end of his contract was a lot heavier than the back end. They're like, well, let's fucking pay this dude now and get rid of him. Whatever. Who knows? But yeah, like he should have been gone. He wasted 3 years, or however long he's been at long enough. A game is too long, honestly. Of like these like very good players that are sitting out there. You got some great offensive weapons out there that you're just like fumbling. But it's not your problem anymore,
Yeah.
bud.
And that's what I was thinking. Like for at least the last 2 years, you've taken 2 prime years from Justin Herbert. You have a potential franchise. I still believe in him as a franchise quarterback.
100%, yeah.
I think, granted, as a human being, I don't think the Chargers coach is as bad as Urban Meyer, but I have to draw the comparison that Trevor Lawrence looked pretty bad with Urban Meyer, and then now that he has a better coach, he's looked significantly better. Like he's showing signs of improvement, trending upwards. A lot of people were ready to call him a bust after like 1 year, but I'm like, he gets an asterisk next to his first year because that was one of the worst coach teams I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
And now I feel like Justin Herbert, between him being there, I don't know how much time, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, all those guys, Austin Eckler.
No.
Man, I feel like that they missed a window there. So depending on who comes back, I'm not sure I'm not as familiar with the Chargers and all their contract situations and everything.
Yeah.
If they can keep the core of that team together, I would have to imagine that is one of the better coaching vacancies that are going to be available.
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
Because I mean, you look at some of these other ones like Carolina.
Yeah. Ooh.
There's not a whole lot to look at. You have no draft capital and a very bad team. Undersized quarterback. Your star receiver is gone. Your star running back is gone. And then you look over in you can go live in, L.A. And although that's, I guess, not that great, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah, weather-wise.
And you can have Justin Herbert. Yeah, exactly. Weather-wise is nice. But you can have Justin Herbert. You might have Austin Eckler. You might have Keenan Allen. I feel like that would just be the spot to go for somebody. And also, a big difference between those two jobs, Carolina is extremely quick to pull the plug on people.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Chargers are very slow to do it. So you got a little bit more job security there.
Yeah, man. The Panthers dude doesn't friggin' play, dude. That's crazy. Oh, you lost a game? It's week 1? You're out of here.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, they pull the trigger pretty quick. 'Cause I think that guy was in his first year. Granted, they
Yeah.
weren't doing great, but he was in what, year one, and
Yeah.
didn't even make it a whole year.
Like, what do you expect from the guy? Like, look what you put around the dude. Like,
Yeah, you didn't get the quarterback you wanted. You traded away his star running back. You traded away his star receiver, and then they performed exactly how you should expect.
yeah.
That guy never had a chance.
No. Absolute pawn.
Yeah. Staying in the AFC, the Cincinnati Bengals,
Mm.
as Terry Bradshaw likes to call them, are now winners of 3 in a row
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
after losing
3 in a row.
Joe Burrow. They had lost Joe Burrow. I think was that in the Ravens game that they lost him.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that was in the. So they ended up losing Joe Burrow, lost that game, lost the next week to the Steelers, and now rattled off 3 wins: Jaguars, Colts, Vikings, some decent teams.
Yeah, 2 playoff hopefuls with the Jags and the Colts.
Yeah, exactly. And now you got a revenge game against the Steelers, and they're looking much better. So I hope they go in and crush the Steelers
God,
this
I hope
week.
so
I really
too.
just want to see the Steelers lose.
There's a dude that I talk to every day in my class, and he was just rifling off shit about the Steelers. So he's like, we got 6 Super Bowls. I'm like, dude, who cares? Like, like, what have you done lately? Wow, like, you're gonna have your first losing season. You're gonna fire your coach because of it. No, we're not gonna have a lose. I called it the beginning year that they're gonna have a losing season, and I'm like, you have 2 games to win. Of 3.
Yeah, you got 2 to win. Yeah, and then you ever ask him about the most recent Super Bowl?
Oh, he didn't. I showed him like all the
1 foot.
Yeah, I showed him everything, and then even the Seahawks one with like the questionable referee. He's like, wow, no. I was like, have you even watched the game as like an unbiased fan?
No. Listen, I will, like anybody, I will get frustrated with the refs whenever it's my favorite team. In the moment, I'll get upset. But usually I'll look back at it and say, okay, that one bad call, you know what? You should have not given the refs an opportunity to make one bad call to alter it. You had, hey, you caught the ball in that one drive and they called it a no catch and you lost. Okay, let's go back and look at the tape. How many other drives did you have it where you dropped the ball or threw a pass too high? If you would have done that right, you would have been so many points ahead, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yep.
But of all the games I've watched, hundreds of games, maybe even into the thousands now, I don't know.
Could be.
That one game, the Steelers and Seahawks in the Super Bowl, was the most frustrating game to watch from the sense of the Steelers or the Seahawks had no chance to win that game.
No.
Because it wasn't one bad call. It was multiple bad calls at the most pivotal moments to where every time they get some momentum going, phantom call, let's bring it back. Or, oh, you just made a crucial stop on 3rd down and it's legit. 1st down. We're going to give them another penalty here.
Yeah,
we're going to make up something here. Yeah. And I remember the refs for that game, they even admitted afterwards, basically, that they did a poor job. Like that they messed it up. And I think the referee, he says he has like a hard time living with it, like knowing that he altered
history
and ruined the chance. Yeah, and ruin the chance for all those Seahawks players to have a fair chance at actually winning. And some of them, of course, you never go back, and that was their only one chance to win, and they took it away from them.
Especially like look at Matt Hasselbeck, man. Like think of the difference in his career if he would have won that Super Bowl.
Yeah,
look what his name meant.
Exactly, he could have had one to his name.
Yeah.
So that was our little Steelers rant there.
Yeah, I mean they deserve it.
Like the Steelers. Yeah. But the Bengals, I mean, they look like. I mean, it's a tough road ahead. You got the Steelers; they should beat them, but then you draw the Chiefs, who are beatable this year, but still going against Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City
late in the season
is it's never easy. It's never easy to do, and then they have to close out against the team that they opened up against in your Cleveland Browns, who absolutely wrecked them on opening day. So I don't know. It's going to be tough for them to get there. It would be interesting to see. And I think if they do make the playoffs, it's going to put even that much more of an emphasis on people to go out and make sure that you have a really good quality backup quarterback, because I feel like that's something that in the last few years people just they they don't put a whole lot of attention to it,
Yeah,
you know.
I think that's because like people want to find these young studs and then spend that money elsewhere on skill players. Like this guy's young, he won't get hurt, and then his knee is blown out 4 games in the year. And they're like, "Fuck, dude!" like, I just don't get it. But yeah, I agree. Like, do I care to know the name of the backup? Not really. But what do I care about? Him fucking going out there and slinging that goddamn ball is all I care about. I'll learn his
Yeah.
name. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Make sure you've got somebody. And I wonder too if teams after this year, I mean, I feel like over half the teams have had to start a backup quarterback because of injury at some
Or
point.
more.
If yeah, or more. I mean, we might be getting close to the 2/3 mark. I wonder if more people are going to look to get more reps in practice with their backup quarterback, because I feel like that's so important. Like these guys come in and they're just not familiar with the first team players at all. They don't know their speed, they don't know their habits. And so, I mean, you look at somebody like a Minnesota, Kirk Cousins goes down, and basically that's it. Your season is done because you didn't have another quarterback that could come in and get the job done.
Mm,
So, and the whole thing with Josh Dobbs, although he was a trade, but still having, it just shows though,
yeah.
hey, here's the cadence, here's what I do, and that's great on them to learn on the fly, but how much more helpful could it be if you're prepared and ready in case your franchise quarterback goes down? Because that's probably one of the most difficult positions
Yeah.
to replace.
Bar none. I don't know. Like I guess they'd have to like redo like how like practice works as far as like how the NFL works. Like that. Like I think it would be on like the owners to really push the commissioner to be like, yo, look, like we need more like time or like to be able to have our backup quarterbacks have more reps since our starting quarterbacks are going down so often because they only got such a limited time. Like yeah, I've been to one
Yeah.
Bucks practice and like I see like I saw Tom out there. He would throw a couple passes and then he'd like go drink water or go like just throw at the sideline for a bit while Trask or Gabbert was in for a little bit, and it's like but it was like less time, right? They would like get one pass or two passes, and Tom comes back in, it's like 5 or 6, and they come in like one or two. Like I guess it would depend on like the timing of like how practice is scheduled or like the structure of it all.
Yeah, because I think some of that is in the collective bargaining agreement, how soon they got to be there, how
Mm.
long, how frequent. Which, yeah, you don't want to see them get overworked. I get
Yeah,
that
not
too.
at
If I
all.
could be at work less, I would rather be at work less as well. But I also would, in that kind of job, I would want to be a little better than others.
Yeah.
Even if they can't do it organized, I wonder if any of them will look to do it unorganized on their own time. Like, hey, let's just meet back out here tomorrow. There's no practice, but let's get in 30 or 40 throws tomorrow and just talk for a little bit. Spend like an hour and a half out here.
I think that's where Tom Brady was above others as far as like quarterback preparation is like he took the time to like take like Gronk and Julian Edelman and like other receivers to like to the beach and just toss the ball or whatever and like learn like maybe mannerisms or whatever like and all when Tom played here they would go to the in South Tampa off of McDill there's that Christian Academy that has like a very nice football field and they'd go out there and throw like they'd run routes and stuff out
Mm.
there. It's like but quarterbacks don't usually like do that anymore. It's like, oh, we got practice. We'll be good. It's like,
Yeah.
well, do you want to have all those MVPs and rings, or do you want to make a couple seasons worth of your time and then retire in disgrace? Your call.
Yeah. Depends. What do you want your legacy to be?
Yeah.
Again, I don't know. I just feel like if that was me, if I had that level of athletic ability, which I obviously do not,
What?
but if I did, I would want to be out there saying, hey, in these prime years of my life, I want to make as much money as I can. And I know if I stay relevant by putting in the extra time now,
Yeah,
that's when
back
you
end.
get the sponsorships and
Hmm.
the contracts to be a commentator and all this other stuff. And that's where the money really flows in. And then you could be like super set for life. Could have me and you you would just be really well off. And that's what I would think. Let me work really hard from obviously they start in high school or some of them even before that, but
Yeah.
at least by high school, hey, let me work on that all the way through, because football age, what, you in your 30s, 35,
What about
you
retirement?
know?
Yeah, if you're lucky in your mid
Yeah.
30s.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like I would have the motivation to let me grind out and let me work really hard. And then by 35, trust me, I wish I could have been done a few years ago
Yeah.
and
I,
be hanging it up now.
I mean, I think the standard for any athlete that like wants to like have a legacy, I think would have to be obviously Michael Jordan, and then I would say Magic Johnson as well. It's like they came in at a time where they made money, like good money, yes, but like nowhere near what these dudes are making now, especially in the NBA. And they own sports teams and like $1 billion clothing brands and beverages and boards of directors on this and that. Like that, I think that should be the standard. Like when you come in, like, all right, dude, if I really grind for like 8 years, let's not even say 10, like not even a decade, if I can pack in an MVP quality time in this amount of time, like just do as much as I can healthily, like make sure my body is taken care of, then I can
Yep.
coast. I'll be fucking 28 years old doing whatever I want.
Yeah. Yeah. And because that's the way I see it too. And you're talking about within the realms of keeping a healthy body, but sometimes maybe that doesn't mean going out and practice and taking hits. It's watching the extra game film and studying other things and learning. So
So you can
there's a
avoid
lot that
those
can be
hits.
done there.
Yeah.
I'm not, yeah, exactly. And I'm not ragging on anyone that's in the league because obviously, again, I'm
We're
not
here.
physically able, but I just feel like, man, if I had that gift, I would have been like, I want to grind and I want to,
Mm.
I want to be set for life by the time I hit 30. But speaking of quarterbacks, probably the last time we'll bring it up, I'm sure this year, but I'm sure you saw Aaron Rodgers cleared to play,
Yeah.
and as soon as they announced that, I feel like what was that? Was that on Sunday that they announced that he was cleared to play, or was it Saturday or whatever it
Either
was?
late Saturday or early Sunday. I forget.
And then by late Sunday, they announced that the Jets were eliminated from the playoffs. So being now that he is officially clear, but they are also officially eliminated, any chance that he even plays? Because I'm a little torn on this. I'm leaning more towards no,
Mm.
but I'm not at a full no yet because I don't know if he wants to do it just for the sake of saying that he did it because it's Aaron Rodgers
I th-
saying, I tore my leg and I told you I'd be back in the same. Because I feel like all that talk, him being cleared to play, but never actually playing this year, it doesn't hold as much weight. Whereas if he came back in and legitimately got to play, maybe got some real game reps with his receivers, that would look pretty awesome to see that someone could recover within
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same year now.
So I'm looking at the remaining 3 games. I think the only game that I could see him coming back if he does would be the final game versus the Patriots because it'd be 2 trash teams. Like, do you really think there are dudes out there trying? Like, they'll give Rodgers the respect of not trying to destroy him immediately, Because like if you look at the Commanders, that's a cursed field. Well, are they versus or at?
Oh
Oh,
no, don't go there.
well, either game.
Yeah.
If they're MetLife or the Commanders, because it says versus, so they obviously they're at home, so still cursed field either way.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, Jets. Yeah, those are probably the two worst fields. But
Don't
yeah, so you don't want that game.
Yeah, so you don't go there. And then the Browns at Browns. Don't go there.
No, you don't want Miles Garrett coming after
He's gonna be
him.
like, we'll test that Achilles, bud. And so,
Yeah,
so that just leaves the Patriots, and like I see them giving him the respect of like, hey, we'll see, like let's, because for them, that just shows like, look, dude, if I don't torment this guy, like that's good karma on me if that ever happens, and I get the chance to come back early. Like I don't want that to happen to me. So these dudes are gonna let him get through one series or whatever, and then he's done. He's not gonna play a game. He's gonna play a series. Helmet off by halftime. He's gonna be in fucking sweats.
yeah. I could see that happening. A first quarter, first half, treated almost like a preseason game.
Exactly. Just
Tell him to just
the
if
flex on him as he walks
nothing
off.
matters at that point. So if anything, you feel any pressure, maybe they have a secret word, someone screams it out, he just drops to the ground. That's it.
Yep.
You drop to the ground. The play is over. You don't try and extend any plays. Just get out there and test your arm. Go learn the way Garrett Wilson runs in his cuts and in an actual game setting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Yeah, that makes sense. I almost, I'm not a huge Aaron Rodgers guy, but I don't want to see him back at MetLife Stadium.
Yeah, you want
Because
to see him.
that's where it happened too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
exactly.
was
It's
at
like
that
curse
stadium.
field.
So
Yeah, curse field.
could you imagine if he decided to come back and then tore it again on
Three
the
snap.
same field in the
Three
same
snaps.
season?
Takes three
Yeah.
snaps. Fuck,
Ooh, that
dude. Well, then he'd be done for sure.
that happened. That if that happens, I'm sure as soon as that game is over, they would take a bulldozer to that stadium and say, or a wrecking ball and say, "This stadium is done."
Yeah, I mean they're
Giants,
better off.
if you got any games left here, you're just not going to play here.
Yeah, you can play at high school because that's what you play like.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. So, yeah, I think that'll be it though for Aaron Rodgers. I'm leaning towards he doesn't come back, but it would be cool to see.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of dumpster fires, we had the Panthers and Falcons game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Worst, probably one of the least interesting games of the year. Did you see all the stuff going around the internet on the get-in ticket price for that game?
No. It was like $1.
So of course we have the one at the time 1-win Panthers. You have a Falcons team that is pretty horribly coached, so you never know what you're getting. You had the leftovers of that El Nino storm that had gotten done in Florida and was going to be passing through Carolina. So it's going to be a very rainy game between two bad teams. So your guess was $1 for the get-in price. For that price, you could have brought somebody. They had ticket prices listed at 45 cents. The get-in price for that game.
Damn, dude, they get the fucking the Rays marketing dude from like the early 2000s. So you get 4 hot dogs, 4 beers, 4 tickets for $20. Deal.
Only $10. And on top of that, I'm seeing if I don't know if I still have it. No, I don't. Even still, I don't know. Did you catch any of that game?
No, why would I?
Just because there was like 300 people in the stands. I don't know. That had to be a record for the all-time lowest attendance.
That's far too many. That's far too many.
Yeah. There was not many people there at all. I'm sure if you can Google pictures of that game, the stands, whatever. If it was a 4:00 game, that's what I would imagine. Like the stands look like at like 2:30 or something. Like there's almost no one there. I'm like, is this real? I thought it was a fake picture at first. I'm like, someone's just doing that to mess with them. And then I look closer at the picture that I saw. I'm like, oh wait, there's players on the field about to do a kickoff. This is for real right now.
It's
like, there's nobody that is interested in this game.
It's a COVID game.
Yeah.
I since like the game was so terrible and it was at the same time slot as the Bucks game. Did it get more coverage than the Bucks on Red Zone? Even though
Probably, it probably did. I've ended up now. I put Red Zone on the big TV, and then I bought a little stand for my phone, and I put the Bucks game always on my phone, and I stick that right in front of me on the table there, so I can watch both. Because I know otherwise I'm not going to have a clue what's going on in the Bucks game.
Yeah, I mean you get like one highlight every quarter.
Yep. Like, oh, well, we have to show the scoring plays, but we'll usually show them like 5 minutes after, and you won't get much of any game coverage in the middle unless all other games are at commercial or halftime. That's it.
Just fucking hate us.
Which they should have been showing that game because that was one of the better games. A high scoring, a fun game, to my surprise and to my delight.
Yeah,
but I started Rashad White in fantasy, and then at the last minute when I saw Tyreek was out, that all but confirmed. I said, okay, I'm pulling Tua out. I'm throwing Baker in for his first start of the year for my fantasy team. And he lit it up. He doubled up. Was going against Patrick Mahomes, and he doubled up Patrick in points this week.
He's the only visiting quarterback to have a perfect quarterback rating in Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
And as a Tampa Bay, person and watching the Bucks my whole life, it's always so weird to see them win in December in Lambeau Field because I remember that was a guaranteed loss every. Oh, that's an L.
Yeah. especially whenever we were kids growing up, going against Brett Favre. That was always the thing. They couldn't win a cold temperature game. I think we had to hear that all the way into our early adulthood, or
I think it was like
I
the
don't know
mid
how many years ago
2000s
it
when
was.
they finally won like a game, and it was like I think
Yes.
Favre was already gone. I think Rodgers was like not even in the game. Some bullshit. And I'm like, well, it doesn't really.
They did it. So finally, now they can go win some games in Green Bay. It was announced, I saw earlier this week, that the NFL plans to have maybe upwards of 8 international games, not by this next season, but the 2025 season. Do you think that's good for the league? Is it bad for the league? Because I kind of see both sides of it. Good for the league because you're expanding to other markets, people getting to see it live. It's always better. Any sporting event is always almost always better live than in person or on TV. But then people, they don't like that it takes away from their home games. The owners, they lose all that attendance for a game. So, do you like these international games, or do you think they're stupid and should go away?
I mean, I like you said, it's a double-edged sword, right? Like, so it's good on the end that like yes, it's good for the league as a sense of like an international game. I know like that was like the whole purpose, but again, that's why we had NFL Europe at the time. Like, if you really wanted an international game, you could have put a little bit more time and effort into the international element of the game. Um,
Yeah.
like I know it's never gonna be the same, but like you said, at the same time, it's like, let's say I was a diehard fan for whatever team, and you just or a season ticket holder, we'll say even for that, and you've taken one of my games away that I paid for. I waited on a fucking whatever queue they have to wait in for a lot of these season tickets, like to be even like accepted into the program. You have to wait like years sometimes, and then you're gonna take a game away from me, and you're not gonna credit that or prorate that across like the other tickets, or like you're not gonna give me anything for that. Like, you're just like, nope, sorry. Like, that's what sucks.
Yeah, that's always tough. But I think what they're going to do, if I'm not mistaken, is how we got the extra game in
Mm.
the schedule, what, last year? Last year, the year before, whenever it was. So instead of having 8 home games, 8 away games, it's now 1 year, 9 home games. The next year is 9 road games. As far as who's giving up a home game, I think it will always be like I think this year the AFC teams had the extra home game, so they are the ones that lost a home game
Yeah.
internationally. And then like last year, I know the Bucks had to host one because the NFC had. So you're still getting 8 games
All right.
in your season tickets, which is what we've been accustomed to.
Hear me out. This will help, right? Let's say we make the Pro Bowl. They play for home field advantage as far as what conference gets a home game taken away that year as far as international. Like, make well, not I don't want to say that like the international game is a penalty, but it is a penalty.
so so let's take it one step further. Let's put the Pro Bowl, because no one here cares about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, what, in Orlando now? It used to be cool when it was in
It's
Hawaii.
it's a
but now
skill
always in
challenge.
Orlando.
It's just a skill challenge thing
Yeah,
now.
it's mostly so. Let's take it. Let's put it internationally, and then whoever loses finds out right there on the spot. You're going to be back in this country next year now as your punishment for losing.
Fucking regulate him to another country. It's like, all right, you are now the Frankfurt Panthers. Fuck.
This will be your home. You're going to have to now play a game here, and you look how disappointed they are.
Try harder.
The fans can remember that when they come back next year. Although I don't think the Panthers would have anybody to even put in the Pro Bowl. So,
but I do think it'd be interesting to like make the Pro Bowl. I mean, I even thought that for like the World Series, like make the All-Star game dictate, home field advantage, or like the just something. Let the conference decide based off the winning of the Pro Bowl, or whatever, where the two conferences play of their best players. Like, that should decide where who gets the advantage the next year. It makes them try for something.
Yeah, I know that's what they do with the All-Star break for MLB. It does help them decide which conference gets home field advantage, which is probably why that game has whichever, I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure.
They get the
wins
2-3-1 or 2-3, whatever the fuck, like however. Yeah.
whichever one is in your favor, you'll start with the 2 home games. If the American League wins, then that means the American League team is the home team, and they get the first 2 games at home. And I forget how they do it: 2-2, 1-1-1. I think.
Yeah, I think so. Which is whatever.
So,
I don't like the two. I don't like the 2-3-2 1-1-1. Like, what is this?
Yeah. So, but think about it. Out of all the All-Star games, it's definitely the best one and the most competitive.
Yeah.
But there's something on the line, and you got the best players, and it's also to determine who's going to get that home field advantage. So, like, if you're a contending team and you are playing in the All-Star game, you are going to try, because you may say, "Hey, this may give us home field advantage down the road. If I hustle to catch this ball, or make the slide into whatever second base, whatever it is, I'm going to get dirty, because this may be the difference between me playing at home and on the road." So
yeah, and it makes it even a little bit more.
I think putting some real stakes in it would be better.
And I think the added element of like relying on divisional opponents to help you through that, it's like Jalen Hurts has to like throw to CeeDee Lamb for a game-winning touchdown for the NFC to clinch so they can have home field advantage. Like that's, it's like that's interesting. She's like, you would never fucking see that in the regular season, like a pivotal moment like that for something on the line.
Yeah. I'm always, I don't know. I feel like I've shifted, because in the beginning, I really, really did not like the international games. But I think that was also a byproduct of my Bucks would always be the ones that were volunteered to go. And they would always have 7 home games. Yeah, pretty much. I know the Jaguars, they had 2 this year back to back, but they wanted to do that. I think they kind of want to be the main international team. They're right there on the East Coast.
International airport, international owner, essentially.
Yeah, I don't know how, and I don't know how often they're selling out games. So that's what I heard the rule was. You don't have to host more than one, but you can volunteer to host more than one. But yeah, I'm a little more open to it. I think my favorite thing about it, though, is those span of a few weeks where they do it right in the middle of the season. That's, I think, good too. Not too early, not too late. But I do enjoy waking up
9 a.m.
There being football on by 9:30. Yeah, 9 o'clock coverage, 9:30 start time. I enjoy that,
especially like because it's midway through the season, like you said. So even for college football, you got like game day from 9 a.m. all the way till when the loser Pac-10 conference finally closes the door, and then you immediately wake up to some Sunday morning NFL football. Like it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, enough time to wake up, knock out something early on the to-do list.
And
then it's time to sit right back down in front of the TV and just enjoy a full day of football.
The kids watching football these days have no idea. Like I know we were sitting there like getting like the one football channel or the 2. You could flip back between the 2, and that's all you get.
You got Fox. You got Fox, and you got CBS. That was all we got. And then I think we got
NBC and ABC
Sunday
on prime
football.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, Sunday Night Football was on NBC, and then Monday Night Football was on ESPN,
or ABC.
I was always at my dad. Well, I was always at my dad's. In the beginning, it was just ESPN. And I know, because I was always at my dad's on Monday night. That was always his night to have us. And he never had cable TV and still doesn't to this day. So I never got to watch Monday Night Football for like the longest time. Until they flipped it, and then I think ESPN for a while took over Sunday Night Football, and then
NBC had Mondays.
NBC got Monday night or something like that, and then I just couldn't watch Sunday Night Football, which I was better with, because I was like, okay, I just have to watch football all day. Yeah, I'm like, okay, I've kind of got my fill for the day, but now I get a little extra bonus. Also, kids these days, they get Thursday Night Football too. We didn't have that. You had Sunday.
That was it.
Maybe Monday.
Yeah. And you better know everything coming in school on Monday to talk about. You better fucking have it all ready.
And there is no checking the internet for videos and stats, and no rewinding your TV. Kids these days, they got it too easy watching their football. Looking ahead to this week coming up, we've got 2 pretty intriguing matchups, 2 really good matchups. First off, we'll start off with the Can't Beat a Good Team Bowl in the Dolphins and Cowboys. Both teams struggling against good teams.
It's going to fucking end in a tie. Are we good?
That
I
would
don't
be
know.
that would be perfect. If that game ended in a tie, that would be perfect. Because one of them has to beat a winning team unless they do that. I didn't even consider that that finish. That would be the tie. I don't think we've had a tie this year. This
Did we have it?
feels
Yeah.
like a tie game. So this might be the one. If we don't have a tie, who do you think who would take this game? Do you feel better about the Cowboys winning an important game or the Dolphins winning an important game?
I think the Dolphins would take this one, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think the edge would be just be Tyreek Hill. Like I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. That would be awesome to see. I'm rooting for the Dolphins to win. To see the Cowboys lose back to back after flexing their muscles so much after that Eagles win. To go on and lose to the Bills and the Dolphins back to back weeks would be awesome. I guess I'll also give the slight edge to the Dolphins just because they are at home. You saw that, I don't know if you saw that stat. Dak looks great when he's playing at home, but when he goes on the road, not so good. Very mediocre on the road.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not going to be like super freezing or super hot either way, but it's still going to suck.
Yeah.
I'd put the motherfuckers in the shade.
And then the other, yeah, be cool. Well, luckily they're in Miami, so. But the other intriguing game that I'm really looking forward to is, I think this is on Christmas. We have the Ravens and the 49ers.
Yeah, Monday night, late night.
What is it? That is our two. Yeah, that's going to be Christmas night.
Possible Super Bowl
Monday
matchup.
Night. Yes, and I was gonna point that out. We got the two number 1 seeds coming into this game, and if you remember back, towards one of our very first shows this season, you talked about the Super Bowl logo conspiracy theory. And we looked at it and everyone said, oh, is it going to be Chiefs Vikings or is it going to be 49ers Ravens? And here we are this far. I didn't think it was going to be Chiefs Vikings just because I had no faith in the Vikings. I definitely saw them as trending down this year. But here we are, week 16, and the two best teams in the league, 49ers, Ravens. It's just going to fuel that fire there. There's a conspiracy with the logo, and they've pre-picked out their teams and everything, especially if these two go on. Get us a nice late season preview, Super Bowl matchup. I'm sure the NFL has a lot of great storylines written for this game already to get us set up. We're going to set this game up. I think several weeks out before the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah. I got to find some interesting storylines within the teams. It'll probably start coming out. The Christian McCaffrey and like all of his brothers and how they're great athletes and they come from a pedigree from their father, kind of bullshit. Yeah. I think that like to further the conspiracy theory, I think whatever color the team is on determines their win loss. I believe as well. So like if purple's on the left, they win. I forget, but yeah, I know the colors were them too. So I think depending on the side, I think determines win loss as well.
Okay, I'll have to look back.
Yeah, just look at the last like 4. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll look and see who ended up winning. See if the team on one side or the other has a better win or loss record there. But like I said, I'm super looking forward to that game. It's gonna be so I'm gonna try and make sure I'm in front of the TV for at least most of that game. Probably have to pass out a little early, but probably won't. Probably should, but I won't. I'll end up staying up for the whole thing.
Yeah, you'll just pay for it on your trip.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll close it out with our 2 locks and an upset. I believe I went first last week, so I'll let you take the first pick this week.
Alrighty, where was my first lock? I am going to take. I'm going to take the Broncos over the Patriots.
Okay, that feels like a pretty solid pick there.
Yep.
Broncos over the Patriots. I am going to go with Broncos at home. Patriots are terrible. All right, for my layup of the week, I will take the Chiefs at home over the Raiders. Christmas afternoon.
I'm going to take another extreme layup I'm gonna take the Bills over the Chargers. Should be
Bills
an
over the
easy win.
Chargers on the road.
Should be
Yep.
an easy win.
Absolutely. So for my second game, I will take let's go Lions over the Vikings on the road. Oh,
Okay.
actually, you know what? I'm going to change that really quick. I'm going
Okay.
to change that because I have to. Because my upset pick now has to become my pick because they changed the lines from yesterday when I looked at this.
Oh, okay.
I had my upset in. So for my second pick, I'm going to go ahead and lock in the Bucks over the Jaguars. Yesterday the Jaguars were favored, but the Bucks are favored today, and I'm locking in the Bucks. I will be at that game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I totally forgot to go on that one.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to lock in the Bucks for one of my picks. But like I said, yesterday they were the underdog, so I was going to make them my upset of the week.
Okay, which would have been nice too. For my upset of the week, I'm going to take the Cards over the Bears.
Just hating on those Bears, right?
Yeah. I feel like I could take a spicy one this late in the season.
Yeah. Which I got to ask you, were you sweating at all at the end of that game? I don't know if you were watching it live or not.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I didn't watch it live, but I did see the end of it. I wasn't sweating it because it's like, it's the Bears. They're gonna fuck it up, dude. Should the game have been that close? Absolutely not. But at the same time, if you look at the stat line, the Bears played the Bears. The Browns just beat themselves until the end. That's all that it was.
Did you see the Hail Mary at the end?
Oh yeah, of course I did. That was the fucking funniest thing. It's like
Hail Mary. It's right in
it's
his
to
hands
you.
for
The guy who
win.
was always chirping to give him the fucking ball, and he had his chance.
Oh yeah.
DJ
Yeah,
Moore.
there you go. Had your chance and dropped that win. So for my upset, I will pivot and I will go with the Colts over the Falcons, who I can still not figure out, which, by the way, I don't know what to do with Bijan this week in fantasy. He netted me a negative 0.1 points after getting 11 yards rushing and a fumble, and his day was done. Just it's just like that week that I played Steph, and he came in at the very end and got one rush for 3 yards. This game was even worse than that. He had a few rushes, 11 yards, a fumble, and it was just one of those days where the coach decided he's going to sit on the sideline. And a very important game for them too.
I mean, they're all at this point.
Yeah, I mean, when they're that close in the NFC South, and you've got your best player sitting on the bench, like, I don't get it. So I hope that was just maybe a rest week, and the next 2 weeks he's going to feed him 35 touches a game because I need it.
Well, from the looks of their win-loss, they had about 8 rest weeks. So
I'm just saying for Bijan, I'm hoping that was a rest week for him because he's gearing up for these next 2 weeks to explode and go win some fantasy football championships for some people. Otherwise,
you're not going to win your league, buddy. He's going to shit the bed.
pick.
They're all going to shit the bed for you. Don't you worry.
Oh, of course. I am shocked I made it this far to the top 4. I think this is where it stops because this is what happens.
This is usually where I eliminate you.
Ever... Yeah. No. Normally it's last week where you eliminate me. I don't even make it this far. But if I make it this far to the top 4, I don't think I have ever placed in this league ever. So if I make it this far, I always end up no higher than 4th. 4th is my absolute best. Mm-hmm. If I can win a miracle this week, I would automatically do my best that I've ever done, but I will probably lose, and then in that 3rd place game I will lose again and be stuck. It's kind of like how the Bucks couldn't get over 48 points for so many years and it took them forever to finally break that. That's me right now with 4th place. I cannot get above that.
It's funny that you've made it this far just because I'm not in the playoffs this year. Like you've the most important obstacles out of the way.
Yeah. I didn't even have to worry about you there this year.
You know what's funny?
Just had to go through Lewis, and he didn't have his playoff luck this year like he did last year.
Damn. But it was funny though, if I would have started, like if I would have made the playoffs and me and you would have matched up like we were last year, I probably would have beat you. My team, like from the looks of it, my team did pretty good. At least gave you a run for your money again.
I had almost 140 points by the end of the
140.
week.
I have to look. I know that
Yeah.
pretty much every one of my players had a touchdown. Jared Goff had 5 touchdown passes, and I think I would have made you sweat again.
Yeah, I had everybody did really well for me, minus Bijan and Tyler Lockett. But everyone else, if you look, Baker 29 points, T Higgins 20, Deontay 14, Rashad White almost 21, Isaiah Likely 15 and a half, and Amaron St. Brown 20.7. So my team was cooking this past week.
Let's
But
see.
yeah, I see you got some people there too. You got Jared Goff. Yeah, he had a lot of points.
Cleveland's deep. Yeah, Jared Goff,
Singletary,
31
Mixon.
points. Smith and Jigba, Chris Godwin. Yeah, Singletary, Joe Mixon, Curtis Samuel,
Oh, and the
Cleveland's
Saints
defense.
got me 15 points as well. So I had all but 2 starters that were doing really well, and I had no idea that Jordan Addison had such a good rapport with, what was it, Nate Mullins or whatever it is, who played for the Vikings. I was pretty upset at myself when I saw that I left Jordan Addison on the bench, but he has been terrible since Kirk Cousins went down.
But yeah,
He has been awful. And then with a different, whenever he had what's his face, Josh Dobbs and him did not connect on anything. Nate Mullins or whatever his name is comes in, Nick Mullins, whatever
Nick
it is,
Mullins, yeah.
and yeah, and he gets 26 points for me on my bench. I was like, well, that was the screw up for my sit start decision that's going to cost me the playoffs this week. And luckily, the rest of my team was able to carry the weight of that bad decision and get me past Lewis, who had a, I think, pretty bad week. So, yeah, 109. So not terrible. But that brings us to the end of our show this week. Before we head out, do you have any final thoughts for our loyal listeners out there?
Not really. Happy holidays, I'm happy that I have 2 weeks off from my class, that I can rest my body. I'm happy to get some hopefully delicious food in a couple of days. Well, whatever. 5 days in presents, of course.
Has texted me. My mom texted me that she has a ton of breakfast food waiting for us. So
I fucking can't wait.
I'm ready to eat.
Biscuits and gravy out the ass, dude.
Yep, she's asked me before if she alters the Thanksgiving menu, is that fine? I said I don't care, but Christmas morning, you cannot alter that menu. I need those biscuits and gravy. It just doesn't feel like Christmas without it.
Fair enough.
So that wraps it up for us, and I guess I will see you in a few days.
See you.
See you.